What's up, guys and gals of the movement world? It's Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi, coming to you once again on behalf of Football Beyond the Stats in another movement skill short story this week for week 6 of the 2025 NFL season. And today we're going to look at a play from Justin Herbert and Lad McConkey. Yes, same Lad McConkey, obviously. That was featured in week 5 of our movement skill short stories with a play that didn't count in week 5. His play in week 6 did count, and it did count in a big way as it took place under high pressure, high anxiety between Justin Herbert and himself, and to put them in field goal range to hit the game winner against the Miami Dolphins on Sunday in week 6 here of the 2025 NFL season. So let's get into this play without further ado and look at how this respective play, a number of different slices, could serve to inform our own practice activity design, no matter the level of player that we work with and what type of style of player that we work with at that respective position. So let's watch it here at 100% speed a few times through, as we typically do, as Jalen Phillips almost brings down Justin Herbert before he gets the ball to his wide receiver here, the very shifty, ever elusive, ever agile Lad McConkey, number 15 of the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, you can see it's 26-27, Chargers driving, 2nd and 10, under 30 seconds here, I think 32 seconds when the play kicked off, before Lad McConkey does his thing, looking slick in the open field yet again. But there's some slices here that we're going to be able to design from this type of game performance that then we can use to inform our own practice activity design. So let's pick this up now, 50% speed, or I should say, let's slow it down, 50% speed. So we can see how some of those slices might be able to be designed and how we can manipulate constraints in our own practice activity design to facilitate similar movement behavior. So we pick this up here when Jalen Phillips is about to wrap up Justin Herbert. Obviously, Justin Herbert, blue chip type of quarterback, big cat, but nonetheless also very athletic, also very composed under high pressure and under high anxiety. Remember, guys and gals, if we're leaning into Nikolai Bernstein's idea of dexterity, the ability to solve any emerging movement problem in any situation, in any condition, these conditions, fatigue, pressure, anxiety, all at their height here, fourth quarter, 32 seconds left, you gotta have it, and you gotta have it at a tight moment with one timeout to go. Justin Herbert really can't afford, I mean, he technically could afford to be brought down, but he doesn't want to here. They would have had to burn a timeout if he has an 8-yard loss, if he were to be sacked from Jalen Phillips, number 15 of the Miami Dolphins. But instead, we find him here very calm, very composed, under chaos. But we talk a little bit about this here in my cheap plug of a book. If you guys can see that, Enhancing Skill in American Football, right? Just released a month ago by myself, Tyler Yearby, and Rob Gray. We talk about some of these special slices, some of these special situations, as well as getting players accustomed to dealing with movement problems down the field while they're in the midst of being grasped or being tackled, as Justin Herbert is here. You can start slices for our quarterbacks like this, for our running backs, for our tight ends, or for our wide receivers. Obviously, a quarterback needing to deal with a problem down the field while they are in the grasp and being tackled. You could start a play in this way. Look at how Jalen Phillips has Justin Herbert dead to rights here, arm wrapped around Herbert's throwing arm, already bringing him down. But Justin Herbert dealing with this alive movement problem. Let's see if we can just point out some things before we move to that, which what I will look at deeper. We can think of this haptic and touch perception, but yet adapting to and through it for Justin Herbert while looking down the field at number 15. He could also obviously be looking here. So he looks at both of these guys on these short crossers, looking to get the ball in one of their hands and one of their hands quickly. Again, you would think when that threat and that perturbation and that challenge is high from Jalen Phillips bring Justin Herbert down, that would be the only thing he's attending to. But the most skillful performers are attending to multiple information sources at the same time, and Justin Herbert is no different here. We can get our players very accustomed and adapted for this. Then, as soon as he sheds him, he knows exactly where he wants to go with the football. Look at how bang, bang quick this is. He sheds him, gets it right back up into a place where he can throw the ball, gets right into his platform. Lad McConkey is open and open big, so he doesn't have to really throw a ball that is all that accurate. He just has to get it to McConkey. And he does exactly that where the Dolphins are playing back and playing a little softer on 2nd and 10, just trying to keep everything in front of them. But as soon as McConkey gets his hands on the ball, they're going to realize really quickly, they being the Dolphins, that this is a much more difficult task than it sounds at first glance. Look at McConkey here when he gets the ball. That head, as we noticed last week, goes right over his shoulder and he surveys and surveys quickly. He doesn't just think, I'm going to get out of bounds here and I got to get to the sticks. Now, he certainly has that intentions. Remember, intentions will scaffold the information a player is on the search for and how they might potentially have the opportunity to interact with said problem, right? So at this moment, the affordance and opportunity to act, McConkey is looking to go here most likely, but he sees how much distance he has. And the one thing I will give Jim Harbaugh here in the Los Angeles Chargers staff credit for, let your playmakers make a play. Yes, this right here, this sticks that we see here is an affordance that is likely inviting and beckoning McConkey to come to it, right? But he sees this immediate defender, and with that highly attuned, highly adaptable nature that McConkey has, as soon as he gets his head turned around, he's going to look to things like interpersonal distance. He's going to look at body posture and kinematics. He's going to look at where can that guy go and how is he positioned to defend me in the open field. He's going to be able to take that quick, alive movement problem and stop on a dime, right? Within it. Look at where this guy goes. He's only got one option, right? So McConkey squares him up, throws his foot in the ground and comes back to the inside, lets him overrun that. Let's not miss the force through the trees here, right here. Okay, let's watch it again, slow motion. Sits down, sits in the hips, lets 11 run on by, and just throws it into the ground, goes from left to right with that nice, nifty, functionally connected jump cut. Doesn't have to be overly dramatic. We don't want it to be overly dramatic, Lad McConkey here. You want to get back into acceleration mode because you just rejected the easy affordance, which was to get to the sticks at the 49-yard line and to get past it and get out of bounds to save yourself a timeout. McConkey's got bigger intentions in mind. Put this guy on my poster, put him on skate. And so we can think about what we might be able to do here, this type of scenario and situation. If you do have the book, page 148, I know you can't see that, it's really blurry because I have my background blurred right now. But 148, we talk about angle work versus an opponent in the open field. How could we set up this movement problem? And then we're going to have a third movement problem here too, guys and gals. Typically, in our learning environment, we would do this at about a 10-yard length, and then numbers to hashes, and with a line to gain here. And this, I don't know how NFL CBS drew this up because this looks a little deep, but we would put a line to gain somewhere in the middle of that workspace or maybe out at the end of it here. Okay. That being the line to gain, 10 yards to gain. Maybe in this case, it could be shorter, which would all facilitate a cross situation dexterity and problem solving, and then allow this player to enter the space with some speed, or he could enter head up, or he could enter from one angle or another. He could have gotten the ball on a reception as he did here with the one defender either already in the space like this guy is. We could bring him from the back end of the workspace where he has to close space, or we could have him match McConkey and come from the outside into the workspace. And then this becomes the workspace that they operate within in this 1v1 skill player, offensive skill player, evasion, invasion for the defender, 1v1 dyadic relationship, right? Hopefully that makes some sense. And what you will see if you rep this out are these types of interaction, guys and gals. I see it every single day in our learning environment. March, April, June, July for the players that partner with me, both offensive and defensive players. We are trying to get this player to find a functional fit to this type of movement problem. What information is he attuned to? I already talked about it, right? But one of the big ones is going to be interpersonal distance that is going to channel the type of movement solution that might be available to him and how he has to, not has to, how he could or should coordinate and control his movement actions based on that information pickup. We want to get him awfully attuned to that. And then likewise, we want to get the defender very attuned and sensitive to similar informational variables, but from the ball carrier, trying to use that sideline to his advantage. Now, as soon as McConkey gets in the open field, we're going to find another alive movement problem, another slice or snippet of the game that occurs frequently enough. We can go from a 2v2. So if we're talking two Chargers, two offensive players with, let me if I can see if I can draw this out for us. Okay. Offensive player with a chaser. We could do it 1v1 like that. Offensive player into a chaser with potentially a defender here. So if we're talking 1v1 plus one, we would be bringing a defender in from the space here. We could be talking a 2v2 with two chasers. Okay. We could be talking a 2v3 with this guy entering the mix here relatively quickly too. So a lot of different slices and snippets of the game here, guys and gals, that we could easily draw out. But look at where McConkey's eyes are. Always on a swivel, always scanning, always on the search and update of information. He now sees his own teammate enter the mix, right? Again, let's not miss the forest through the trees. It's like a finger pointing in the way to the moon. He over his shoulder, sees where that defender is, see how threatening he might be. He can probably also feel 20 coming from behind him. He looks over and sees 28, knows that he can veer over back to the middle of the field because he's got workspace to work with. And now we look at where his eyes are going. Sorry if this is going to get a little long-winded, but this is slick and layered, okay? Now he sees what else he has to deal with. He knows he's got his team in field goal range. He's going to try to pick up as much as he possibly can, knows that he has one timeout in his pocket. And he has to be highly intelligent, but use his game speed here. Use the sideline to his advantage, yet at the same time, watch the change in tempo and speed here. Puts this guy, gives him a little hesitation, picks up, I don't know, another 8 to 10 yards because of this. This type of 1v1 interaction, we also talk about with low complexity. Lots of slices, lots of snippets of the game that we can design here and facilitate an education of attention and intention for the players we partner with. Okay. Really cool stuff here from McConkey in the open field, showing the layers of his movement skill. But guys and gals, if we were to set up practice activities for the players we work with, no matter the level of player that we're talking about, developmental, high school, collegiate, I can promise you if you get them exposed to the immersion of these types of movement problems, these similar types of movement skills will actually begin to emerge. Okay? Again, we see it now from this angle. Something really special from Justin Herbert, something really special from Lad McConkey. We can see some of those nuances that we just talked about. Going from 1v1 slices to 2v2, 2v3, 3v3, however it is that we want to look at it. Lots of different layers here, guys and gals, that we want to use to inform our own practice activity design because it's something that we most definitely can and should do. So for Sean Mishka and Football Beyond the Stats, I'm the Movement Miyagi, Sean Mishka. This is another movement skill short story. There will be a couple more of these being released here across the course of this week from the 2025 NFL season, week 6. I will talk to you guys next time.